I love this venue at an airport hangar. It's a great place to be, and it's so inspiring to hear all these different people who are working on new technologies to address climate change. It's just very inspirational and nice for me to be back down on the Cape. I come here frequently because our projects land in Barnstable, but this is also the time of year that I get to turn the water back on and open my summer house in Eastham. And so every time I drive over the bridge this time of year, I know that summer is ahead, and getting some good time on Cape Cod is part of that. So excited to be here with all of you. I'm going to try to tackle the question. You've been talking about electrifying all different uses. I heard transportation, aviation. We talked a little bit about hydrogen, which is a very energy-intensive pursuit. And so I want to talk a little bit about where is all the electricity going to come from that we need to electrify these end uses. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And first, I just want to highlight the magnitude of the challenge. Most people who have studied our electric grid and thought about what's going to happen when we try to run all of our cars and trains and buses on electricity, when we have heat pumps replacing burners for our heat, when we try to make hydrogen, and then add on to it increasing energy demands from things like data centers and artificial intelligence. So most people who have looked at our grid in New England have said that it's probably going to have to double. Some people even think it's going to triple in size to meet all that demand. At the same time as that's happening, many of the traditional ways we've generated power with nuclear power plants, with coal plants, with gas plants, a lot of those plants are retiring. And because of our climate goals, we're certainly not going to replace coal-burning power plants with new coal-burning plants. That's not going to happen. That's not really going to happen for gas as well. So we see this burgeoning demand. We see declining supply. And on top of that challenge, this is a graph of how Massachusetts intends to meet its net zero goal by 2045. And what it really talks about is almost eliminating any carbon emissions from the generation of electricity. So the challenge, pure and simple, is we have to have a lot more power in order to meet this demand and for the electrification of all these end uses. And we have to get the carbon emissions basically out of our electric generating sector, and we have roughly 20 to 25 years to do that. It's quite a high magnitude. And so there are many solutions that have to be brought to bear to make this work, but pretty much everyone who's looked at this problem has said that offshore wind is an indispensable component of the solution, and we need a lot of it, something between 10, 20, 30 gigawatts over the next number of years. So we need a lot of offshore wind. And that's where one of our advantages in Massachusetts really comes to bear. I work for Avangrid. It is an American company, but it's owned by a Spanish company known as Iberdrola, so I have a good sense of what's available out in the rest of the world, and we are truly blessed with some of the highest and most consistent wind speeds in the country. We also have relatively shallow depths to the seabed, so we can build turbines pretty far out, way beyond where the eye can see from land, and still be able to do that with conventional fixed bottom technology as opposed to floating wind. So we have this incredible resource, really, just off the coast, and what we have to do is develop that resource as quickly and as sensitively and as efficiently as we can, and that is a big part of the story of Avangrid is our desire to harness that resource, provide a source of clean energy for the New England economy, as well as some jobs and advancement for a number of different communities. So we have three projects. One is being built as we speak. That's the Vineyard Wind 1 project. I'll give you a status report on that in a moment. And then we have two lease areas right behind it. One is called New England Wind 1. The second is called New England Wind 2. For those who have followed our projects, you'll see we have a name change. New England Wind 1 used to be called Park City Wind. New England Wind 2 used to be called Commonwealth Wind. But these are rebranded as New England-wide projects, and I'll explain why that name change in a minute. A little progress report on Vineyard Wind 1. We are building, as we speak, the nation's first utility-scale offshore wind farm, and we are extremely excited about that. We have 47 of the 62 foundations in the seabed, about 25 miles off the coast, facing south from Barnstable. 11 turbines are now connected. I think 9 are putting power into the grid. 122 megawatts is now flowing through that project, serving about 54,000 homes and businesses. When we're done, all 62 foundations will be in place. We'll have 62 turbines up and running, supplying enough power for about 400,000 homes and businesses. And by the way, much of that power will actually go to Cape Cod and be used by people who live and work here. So we're extremely proud of this. That picture on the bottom left, by the way, is the offshore substation that conditions the power. It's really incredible to go out and see that structure. I think I was told it weighs 6,500 tons. So just kind of imagine the engineering involved in lifting something of that size and depositing it on a foundation. The technology is really quite incredible, and if you've seen the turbines, they're huge, they're magnificent, and we're so proud to be really the first in the country to build something of this size. We're also super proud. There's a terminal, a marine commerce terminal in New Bedford, Massachusetts, that the state built about 10 years ago, anticipating this clean energy future. And if you go to New Bedford, it is a bustling hub of commerce. We've put so many people to work. We thought we were going to create about 500 union jobs through this project. We've already created about 1,000. And we've enriched that community and others here, and certainly we also put a lot of people to work in Barnstable over the last couple of years doing the electric duct bank work, building the onshore substation. So this has been a winner all the way around, and our goal is to build upon that progress with our next tranche of projects. So the states of Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island did something very smart, which is they all wanted to procure more offshore wind, but they decided rather than to do it each alone, they would do it collectively with a multi-state solicitation. So last year, they each put out requests for proposals, and we, along with several other offshore wind developers, submitted bid proposals into that solicitation, and we rebranded our projects New England Wind 1 and New England Wind 2 because they are truly New England wind projects available to Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, or any combination. So for example, if the states each wanted to take a third or a half or however you want to slice it of the projects, this solicitation allows them to do it. The bottom line is if we win these bid awards, we'll have projects that will be providing about 1 million homes with clean energy, taking so much carbon out of the system and helping to advance that transition to clean energy, which we really desperately need for the region and for the country. A few highlights of the things in our bids, and some of these refer more to New England Wind 1 than New England Wind 2, but one of the things we've stressed in our bids is how long it takes for projects to get all their permits. It can take 3, 4, 5 years for a project to actually get their permits, and a lot can happen in the world in between the time when you submit a bid and when you're finally ready to build the project. So one of the advantages of our New England Wind 1 project is that we basically have all the permits that we need locally, regionally, from the state. We got a major federal approval last month, and we're anticipating finishing the whole permitting by this summer, which really makes the project shovel ready, and that's something that really is a highlight for us and gives us confidence in the project. For the New England Wind 1 project, we also are so pleased that we have a host community agreement with the town of Barnstable, which offers them considerable benefits for being a host to our project. We have our interconnection into the West Barnstable substation worked out. We will be helping to finance an enormous upgrade of the Cape Cod interconnection system, providing reliability benefits for the Cape for many years to come. We have a project labor agreement with the Massachusetts Building Trades. These are the folks who are building the Vineyard Wind 1 project, and they are great partners to work with, and we're very pleased that we have an agreement with them to use that skilled labor again in these projects. We have some side agreements with some municipalities, the City of Boston and MWEC, which represents a lot of cities and towns, to sell power to them, which is exciting to get communities into that. We're helping to fund a new marshaling port in Salem, and we're bringing a Danish manufacturer of wind turbine equipment into New Bedford. So we're really excited about these bids and offering these 3 states really a shovel-ready project. Just so you can see where the bids stack up, the 3 states have collectively asked for about 6.8 gigawatts of capacity. 5.5 gigawatts was actually bid in, so it's a little undersubscribed. I think that's because of economic conditions, which we can talk about. But the bottom line is, if the states go ahead and award, they will be making a big progress in getting the scale of renewable energy that we need, both to decarbonize our electric system and to meet this rising demand. So I really do want to shout out to the states for their leadership in moving forward, and I also want to shout out to the town of Barnstable for being a good host and a good partner. We've had, some controversy lately, but I still feel like they are a great partner, and I admire their leadership greatly. Talking a little bit about what our projects mean for Cape Cod, there's jobs. There were a lot of people employed when we were building Vineyard Wind 1 in the Barnstable area. We would expect the same thing to happen for these 2 projects coming forward. I talked a little bit about the grid modernization. We'll be investing hundreds of millions of dollars into Cape Cod having a much more reliable and efficient grid. Our bid commitments include millions of dollars with organizations on Cape Cod to help low-income ratepayers afford electricity, to help people of low income have the opportunity to put solar panels on their homes and make their homes more efficient. We're also going to be partnering with a number of educational institutions on the Cape to train people in this exciting new industry, working with vocational schools and community college. So really excited about that. I talked a little bit about our host community agreement with the town of Barnstable. This is an agreement where, above and beyond the taxes that we'll pay, which are significant, we're providing a lot of tangible benefits to the town, including payments, host community payments, and including a really well thought through plan where we'll be helping the town to expedite the sewering of parts of Barnstable, which are greatly needed to meet these pressing water quality problems that the Cape faces from septic systems that are overloading the ability of the estuary to stay clean. So we're going to help financially with that. We also will be timing the work so that when the city or when the town opens up a roadway to put in a sewer line, we will follow behind with an electric cable, and we'll be responsible for the closing and the repaving of those roads. We'll also fix and repair water mains along the way too, saving the town millions of dollars. We've looked at the 3 projects: Vineyard Wind 1, New England Wind 1, and New England Wind 2, and we estimate that we're providing about $200 million in either cash or in-kind benefits to the town of Barnstable. And we recognize that these projects do involve some disruption and inconvenience, like any utility infrastructure project. So we're happy to have the opportunity to try to compensate the community for that disturbance. Looking ahead, so our goals, we want to complete Vineyard Wind 1. That is underway. We want to see that project operational this year or early into next year. We're keeping our fingers crossed. We'll find out in August if one or both of our bids for our projects get awarded. We're certainly hoping they will, and that would enable us to start construction on the first project, New England Wind 1, next year, with the other one about 2 years behind that. We want to continue to develop local supply chains. Ultimately, the United States is getting too much of our equipment from Europe right now. That's understandable because they started 20 or 30 years ago. But for this industry to really work and achieve a cutting of costs over time, we really need to have a domestic supply chain. And so we're going to be looking for opportunities over time to grow that supply chain. We're going to continue to work with the town of Barnstable, particularly on construction planning. The Vineyard Wind 1 project basically went well, but like any big project, there's lessons one learns from it. There's ways of doing things more efficiently, so we want to make sure that when we build the second and the third project, we're learning from those lessons and working with the town to make sure that the construction is as expeditious and efficient as possible. I talked about some of the benefits that we're excited to provide to Barnstable County if we're fortunate enough to win these awards. And then I will say the other aspect of this that's awfully important, and I think all of you can help, is there is a fair amount of misinformation that is out there that I think has, poisoned the debate over offshore wind a little bit. It's not so much about the turbines, it's about what's happening on land. And I think this is an opportunity for everyone who's following factual information to speak up. And these underground power lines are safe. They can be built in a way to protect people. There really is not a threat to the environment or to public health that comes from being the host community to these farms. In fact, what these wind farms are all about is reducing pollution, reducing threats, dealing with the climate crisis. And so we really do need people at these public hearings and in these different fora to stand up and say they're in favor of this solution. That is happening in Barnstable. I've seen it in a number of public hearings, and it's encouraging to me. But that is going to be necessary, I think, to get our projects and the other projects from the other project developers over the finish line. So I think I'm going to stop there. The only last point I'll make is just a couple of days ago, the federal agency that's in charge of leasing areas off in federal waters, BOEM, announced a very ambitious schedule for doing more leases in the Gulf of Maine, in the Central Atlantic, and other areas. So I really do think that the future of offshore wind is very bright, and I think we should all be proud that when people look back on where did this industry really get a foothold in the United States, it's, it's Massachusetts, it's Cape Cod, and it's the federal waters just south of us. So I think we should all be proud of this beginning of a success story. We have a long way to go, but we have a good path to get there. So I'll stop there.